what about the mark of the beast? Is that also as close? What would it look like? Is it even possible that the entire global financial system that we operate in today is soon going to be reset and based on a mark for buying and selling? Well, let's find out. Here's a little video that I've cut together that I believe will give you a really good overview about what the mark of Dabba'tu-min-al-ardh could be and how close we are to it being rolled out across the entire world. So let's watch this together. Mark of the Beast from the Earth. Step 1. Forcing and locking people into the system by removing cash.
Well, listen to this story. Imagine walking into your local bank just to get some cash. You need some cash because, I don't know, maybe you want to, pay a babysitter, buy a car, or pay a landscaper. It's cash. You have every right to do it. It's a currency. You should be able to do this. You want to buy a car, it's your right. However, you want to get some cash out of your account. You go to the teller, you walk up to the teller, and the teller then looks at you and gives you some blank stares. I'd like to get some cash out of my account. I need a few $1,000s. And then the bank teller says, hold on a second, I'll be right back. Walks over to the bank manager, who then comes to you and says, I understand that you want to take some cash out of your account. May I ask what you plan to spend it on? None of your friggin' business what I want to spend it on, right? Yeah. I mean, that's what I would say. My jaw would hit the floor if this happens. I'm sorry. Why is this any of your business? My money is in your bank. I'd like to take my money out of your bank. I want to spend it however I'm going to spend it. That's exactly what's happening at local banks in multiple Western countries, from Australia to the United States to Canada. Sorry, we don't have cash here. You can't take cash out because we simply don't have it. Here's just one example in Canada. This one's gone viral this week, but this is just one of many that we're seeing, where a banker refuses the customer's withdrawal who just wants some cash out of his own account. Watch this.
How rude.
No, you don't need that. Bro, what is it? I'm only asking for 3. What is this? It's my money. I'm allowed to withdraw from my own bank account. Yeah, so you said that what's the maximum limit you can give a withdrawal to a customer? It's $3,000 on the day. You've already mentioned that multiple times.
Yeah, not today.
Why not today?
Today I would need the bank draft or I would get it invoice.
But what, you need proof of what it is? Why is that? And why is that? Why is that? Why do you need me to tell you what it is? What kind of proof is that? I bring in a note? Like what is that going to change? I don't understand. So that you need to give my money. I'm not taking a bank draft. I would like cash, please.
Yeah, I won't be able to give you cash today.
I won't be able to give you cash
today.
today
Until you give me cash, so I'm not gonna leave.
Can you imagine this?
Well, and you know what's messed up is this guy questioning stuff. He'll probably end up getting kicked out of the bank, maybe arrested by the police because he's causing the disturbance.
Yeah.
Like they treat the customer like they're a disease.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not leaving. No, sorry, you're not getting any cash today. Of course, the real reason she's asking that question is because she's trying to avoid at all costs having to admit the fact that they don't actually have cash in the bank anymore.
I have a question really quick. So are they still, when they add to the monetary, like the money supply, are they still required to print what they're putting out, or are they just adding it in a computer? Because what I'm wondering is if there's actually a shortage on notes.
No. It's a fraction of the actual money that's technically in supply, in circulation. The ones in, the digital version of the dollar, there's only a fraction of that actually available in cash, in coins, that exists in the United States. The rest of it is digital.
Before the pandemic, when they changed the laws for deposits, it was 4%. So now, best guess is 1% of money that exists in our economy actually exists in paper form.
They don't want cash. They want an all digital future. Here's the CEO of Bank of America.
We want a cashless society.
You want a cashless society?
We are driving towards a faster, but we have more to gain than anybody in a sense from a pure operating cost. And so we're driving it.
But we hate cash. We want a cashless society. Bank of America CEO. If you want to understand, of course, how all of this is playing out, the European Union has already done this, already made it illegal for you to use more than $1,000 in cash to pay for anything, or you'll be fined. You could go to prison for it. Here was Christine Lagarde to admit what is happening now with this new cash in Europe scheme.
No, the problem is they don't want to be controlled. They don't want to.
Yeah, but you know what? Now we have in Europe this threshold above 1,000 euros, you cannot pay cash. If you do, you are on the grey market. You take your risk. You get caught, you are fined, or you go in jail.
Cash withdrawals are being stopped at banks. Spending with cash is becoming illegal. A cashless society is being created, forcing people to adopt a new system. Step 2. Replacing jobs with AI and robotics so that people cannot earn and are dependent on the system to survive.
There will be fewer and fewer jobs that a robot cannot do better. Okay. What to do about mass unemployment? This is going to be a massive social challenge. And I think ultimately we will have to have some kind of universal basic income. I don't think we're going to have a choice.
Universal basic income.
Universal basic income. I think it's going to be necessary.
So it means that unemployed people will be paid across the globe.
Yeah.
Because there is no job, machine, robot is taking over.
That's simply and I want to be clear that these are simply things that I think probably will happen. And if my assessment is correct and they probably will happen, then we need to say, what are we going to do about it? And I think some kind of a universal basic income is going to be necessary. I think we'll just end up doing a universal basic income. It's going to be necessary. The harder challenge, much harder challenge, is how do people then have meaning? Like a lot of people, they derive their meaning from their employment. So if you don't have, if you're not needed, if there's not a need for your labor, what's the meaning? Do you have meaning? Do you feel useless? That's a much harder problem to deal with.
What would your kind of observation be on AI and the impact on labor markets and people's jobs and how they should feel about that as they think about this?
Well, I think we are seeing the most disruptive force in history here. Where we have for the first time, we will have for the first time something that is smarter than the smartest human. And that, I mean, it's hard to say exactly what that moment is, but there will come a point where no job is needed.
Now, the output of goods and services will be extremely high. So with automation, there will come abundance. There will be almost everything will get very cheap.
It won't be, and we won't have universal basic income. We'll have universal high income. So in some sense, it'll be somewhat of a leveler or an equalizer, because really, I think everyone will have access to this magic genie.
I think the most likely outcome is one of abundance, where goods and services are available to anyone. There's no shortage of goods and services for anyone on Earth. I think that is the most likely outcome. So it wouldn't be universal basic income; it would be universal high income.
That's why I say if you wish for a magic genie, that gives you any wishes you want, and there's no limit. You don't have this three wish limit nonsense. You just have as many wishes as you want. It's both good and bad.
I mean, with artificial intelligence, we are summoning the demon. You know those stories where there's the guy with the pentagram and the holy water, and he's like, yeah, you sure you can control the demon? Didn't work out.
Summon the demon, summon the jinn. Robotics and AI is being developed with the goal to replace all human labor. This is being marketed with false promises of a world of abundance, but it will actually result in people being enslaved and dependent on the system, being able to survive only through universal basic income, which you will only be able to receive if you are a part of the system. Step 3. Create a new financial system which is 100% digital and centrally controlled by the governing authority.
Chinese last month unveiled the world's first digital currency from a major power. Currency that would not be printed but would exist only in cyberspace on your phone, for example. Is the Fed working on a digital dollar?
We are actually evaluating that. Most major countries are now looking at the possibility of having a digital currency and really asking the question.
Imagine a government that creates money that has an expiration date, and if you don't use it, it'll disappear.
President Biden issued an executive order to explore the creation of a U.S. central bank digital currency, effectively converting the dollar into a centralized digital currency.
What if I told you 90% now of the world's central banks say they're investigating central bank digital coins?
Right now, we're seeing the creation of these central bank digital currencies happening all over the world. 11 countries have already launched their own digital currency, including the Bahamas with their sand dollar, Jamaica, and Nigeria. 18 countries are in the testing phase, 32 countries are developing their own right now, 39 are trying to figure it all out and researching, only 15 are inactive, and 2 are canceled. But all in all, 114 countries representing 95% of the world's GDP are in some way involved with this process, including the US. Now, the obvious question is, why is the Federal Reserve so focused on digitizing dollars if the dollar is already digital and it's already on our phone? The answer is, there's a huge difference between true digital currency and the system we have today.
So what the central bank digital currency is all about is surveilling Americans and controlling behavior of Americans. And how do we know? Because we've seen this happen in other parts of the world.
People are calling the concept of CBDCs as Big Brother's digital dollar. And it makes sense why people are skeptical, because CBDCs will be tied to your unique digital ID that'll be used to build your social proof. Which all sounds exactly like the next plot of a Black Mirror episode. If the government wanted, they could freeze your assets, and if they don't like what you're spending, with the flick of a switch, your bank account now shows zero. The creation of a CBDC would give them the technological power to do exactly that. If the government wanted to encourage spending, they could airdrop some dollars in our bank accounts instantaneously, which sounds nice. But if they want to discourage saving, with the flick of a switch, the money could have an expiration date, which is exactly what China did to encourage spending. Now, if all of this stuff sounds like a conspiracy theory, you don't have to look at China for that to happen, because all governments can abuse power, including the US. Because on April 5th, 1933, this happened. This was a decree issued by Franklin Roosevelt which gave US citizens 1 month to give up their claims to gold, including coins, bullion, and certificates. Everything was confiscated and had to be returned back to the Federal Reserve. But that's not even the crazy part. The crazy part is the people that did not agree to do this faced 10 years in prison and up to $10,000 per year in fines. Now, just for context, back in 1933, that $10,000 represented over 3 times what the average person made in a single year. So that would be like if today the government told us to turn in all our cash or risk being fined over $180,000 per year. If anything, this is about commerce on a global scale.
Central bank digital currencies are being introduced. These will form the new global financial system, giving complete control of your financial affairs to a central governing authority. The existing financial system is crumbling and the new system is nearly ready. Universal basic income will be processed through this system. And once you are a part of it, you will be under its control forever. Step 4. Engineering a financial collapse to seize your assets and replace the existing system with the new system. The World Economic Forum, the Great Reset, and the Great Taking.
For one thing, this is how this new system would operate. According to them, the Bank for International Settlements, the new reserve currency, forget the dollar as you know it basically. This will be the new reserve currency, which is how they want to label it and how they are labeling it. This would be used to settle all transactions. As everyone moves away from the US dollar right now, this seems like perfect timing to be moving to this new system. So are they purposefully torpedoing the US dollar in preparation for a global new reserve currency? One might wonder, right? We don't believe in conspiracy theories around here, but you have to wonder. It could include the confiscation of all property, physical property.
The Federal Reserve can be summarized in 3 words: It's a scam. I never realized it was the most profoundly corrupt institution in the world, pretending to be honorable. And it's a partnership between the bankers and the politicians, and they create money for all the citizens of that country. So in a sense, what they're doing is converting your property, your assets, into money.
They don't need your money. They can create unlimited money. It is about subjugation of people.
Who was it? Kissinger said a long time ago, if you want to control people, you control food. If you want to control nations, you control oil. If you want to control the world, you control money. And I think that's the plan. And now, right now, it seems like they're using the climate change as the mechanism to be able to step in and take control.
So I've written this book, The Great Taking, to put on the table a very sophisticated structure designed to take essentially all financial collateral globally.
You've probably heard in the media lately about the World Economic Forum, and they've told us that within less than 8 years, you are going to own nothing and you're going to be happy. Within the actual documents of the World Economic Forum. Now let's go to an article in Forbes that we're specifically told in the article, you can see it right there, that it was contributed by the World Economic Forum. And it says, welcome to 2030, I own nothing, have no privacy, and life has never been better. You can imagine if there was an economic catastrophe and people were struggling financially and maybe didn't have much food or they weren't able to pay their mortgage, something along these lines. Someone comes in and says, we recognize that you can't pay your bills. You're in trouble. We can take care of you.
So if what you're using as a monetary value is not your property, you have none. You have nothing. You are a slave.
We're in a hybrid war that is open-ended.
The average person is doomed. They have to wake up. They have to learn a little bit about what the real world is about. They have to stop buying into the myth.
A global financial collapse is being prepared. As part of this collapse, your assets will be seized to restart the economy, a bail-in instead of a bail-out. As a result, you will own nothing. And you will be enslaved by the central governing authority to receive basic income for food, shelter, and sustenance. This entire plan has been clearly expressed by the World Economic Forum, who say that by the year 2030 you will own nothing and be happy. The WEF are also presenting other control mechanisms to prevent travel, restrict diet, and subjugate the world's population. Step 5. The mark.
Here's a question. Would you let someone implant a microchip into your hand if you would receive $2,000 a month? A month in return for getting a chip put in your hand. You heard me right. We'll give you universal basic income, basically. 2,000 euros, $2,000 a month, if you allow us to put a microchip in your hand. That's exactly what's about to happen as part of the rollout of the central bank digital currencies. That's a carrot for them to rope you into this mess. We'll get to that part of the story in a minute, the chip implantation process. Not the corn chip, as Dan said in our chat, but a actual metallic tracking chip. But a new report just published this week by the Bank for International Settlements explains how our new digital money system is about to work. We've been warning you that this was coming for a long time on this show. Also, we weren't the only ones predicting this. It was predicted in a little book, you might have heard of it, called The Bible, The Mark of the Beast. Richard Werner is an economist who is a World Economic Forum insider. Think of him as a whistleblower against these globalists. He was chosen by Klaus Schwab at the time as a global leader. Here he explains how the CBDC, or central bank digital currency, will start off on our phones as an app, but then move to something far more nefarious. An implant in your hand. Yes, a chip in your hand. Listen.
And what people don't mention is, what do these CBDCs actually look like? You know, at the moment, there's a bit of talk about this being phone-based apps. And yes, that is the initial phase. But what was already ready around 2015 is the ultimate goal. What they really want, apparently, I was told by a central banker, is, CBDCs looks like a small grain of rice that they want to put under your skin, which is, in my view, a violation of human dignity. And they realize there is a hurdle. So to get people to accept this, there will be, why suddenly all the billionaires saying, let's have universal basic income? Because the story is going to be, now we've created this vast unemployment and disruption and crises. Well, we need universal basic income. You will get 2,000 euros into your account every month. But of course, to run this efficiently, we need to use the latest technology. So, you need the CBDC chip implant.
I guess
There's
that's
gonna be
my
so many
extrapolation is like the scary part is this becomes the Hunger Games. You just get your portion, right? And then you have no rights to anything above that.
And I think when, like we talked about it before, it's like it's going to target the poorest people because they're the ones that are going to be wanting to get on board with this because it's going to make life easier for them.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I think this is going to work. This is how they will get people. We will put you on a universal basic income, and you will be given a certain set of parameters how you can use this income. And by the way, you're going to have to get a chip in your hand for tracking. That's how you will access it, right? And additionally, you will then you will be capped at certain purchases. Your carbon footprint will be tracked. What are you buying? Where are you going? And the idea, of course, that, this is only for purchases. We won't be able to track your physical location, your whereabouts. Really? Communication, how is it being tracked? Is it Bluetooth, near field communication? I just walk up and tap it against any kind of like a soda machine. We've already seen them rolling it out at different grocery stores. We see people in Sweden are jumping on board with this, wanting to use this on a regular basis. So there's people already electing to use this, wanting to use this. And they'll do this with the promise of basic income. $2,000 a month. Would you do it? Let us know in the chat if you would do that. This is not some fever dream, by the way. Where did this come from? This was explained in great detail by Klaus Schwab himself in 2016. Listen.
Aujourd'hui, au bout de ça, on parle de puces qu'on pourra s'implanter. Ce sera quand ça?
Certainement dans les 10 années à venir. Et d'abord, on va les implanter dans nos vêtements, c'est-à-dire wearables, comme on le dit. Et après, on pourrait s'imaginer qu'on les implante dans nos cerveaux ou dans notre peau. Et à la fin, peut-être il y a une communication directe entre notre cerveau et le monde digital. Ce que nous voyons, c'est une sorte de fusion du monde physique, digital et biologique.
Digital and biological.
What do you guys think? Am I the only one outraged by this? They want to inject this and to be able to control our monetary policy. I know this is a little hard for some people to swallow, but they are doing it, guys. I mean, this is what's coming out with this reserve currency. This will be, and I have to ask the question, I'll ask it again. Do you think they intentionally torpedoing the US dollar in favor of this currency? It makes it unattractive. And they want us to move away from cash to begin with. That's been the plan all along. But I mean, the writing is on the wall here, guys.
I don't know. This is the kind of thing that I want to sort of put aside and be like, no, until I cannot.
Until they're knocking at your door. We're here for your chip installation.
Right.
Natalie, where's your hand?
I guess I'm more prone to consider something like this after the pandemic, as a reality.
Yeah,
as a reality.
It's like it sounds so fantastical that like you would just like brush it off as being like that's just too crazy. But then again, like I don't think it is. I don't think it is.
Yeah, given what we've been through now, it seems so a little too transparent, and that sort of puts the idea in my head that like maybe we have been warned about this through fiction for a long time, and you can think of so many cautionary tales, Gattaca, Hunger Games, all of these.
The drip, like sort of the drip feeding of it. I mean, but you don't even need like fiction now in modern days. All you need to do is look at the Bible, and looking at this prediction of the mark of the beast and this idea of being able to track.
To ensure compliance with the new system, humanity will be marked. Those who have the mark will be able to transact in the new economic system and receive basic income. But those who don't comply will be outside of this system and will have to survive on their own. And those lone survivors will be seen as the enemies of this system. This too has been expressed in clear terms by the World Economic Forum. Those outside the system will be treated as criminals and will be hunted down by the beast from the earth. Step 6. Eliminating those who resist the mark.
This is what the article says, but then it gives us this strange thing. So they're talking about how this is a wonderful thing that will be taking place, where you basically have very little freedom, you have no privacy whatsoever, but then it tells us about the people they worry about, and I want you to notice who scares them. My biggest concern is all the people who do not live in our city, those we lost on the way. Those who decided that it became too much, all this technology. Those who felt obsolete and useless when robots and AI took over big parts of our jobs. Those who got upset with the political system and turned against it. They live different kind of lives outside the city. Some have formed little self-supplying communities. Others just stayed in the empty and abandoned houses in small 19th century villages. So notice who scares these people at that time, when the world will be flocking to the cities because they'll be taken care of. They evidently will be the universal basic income, meaning you'll be given enough money to survive, to make it. You'll have your toys and your entertainment. They won't be yours. When I say yours, they're not yours. You're just borrowing them. But you'll be entertained all you need to be to keep you pacified. And then what will scare these people, though, is there's people outside of the cities who don't want to go along with it. And these people are industrious. They're self-supporting. They take care of themselves. They don't want to be taken care of by the government. And this is a fearful thing, evidently, to those who are leaguing up with this system at the end of this period, this 2030 idea of what it's going to be like there. But that's not it. So you say, well, Chad, that was Forbes. Okay, it says it was contributed by the World Economic Forum, but how do we know what they really think about it? So the good news is they actually tell us on their official website. Notice what it says. 8 predictions for the world in 2030. Number 1 is all products will have become services. I don't own anything. I don't own a car. I don't own a house. I don't have any appliances or any clothes, writes Danish MP Ida Auken. Shopping is a distant memory in the city of 2030, whose inhabitants have cracked clean energy and borrow what they need on demand. It sounds utopian until she mentions that her every move is tracked, and outside the city live swaths of discontents, the ultimate depiction of a society split in two. Now, once again, this is the World Economic Forum website, and the scary part, once again, is the people who live outside the city. They're called the discontents. They're not content to just go along with having the government take care of them. These are people who believe in liberty, believe in freedom, who want to maybe grow their own food and these kinds of things. These are the discontents. But notice the idea of where this is going. It seems to be that these things are working together to talk about taking or removing freedoms so that we can give to all everything and they'll have it all free, but they'll own actually nothing. Now, once again, let's see how this organization, the World Economic Forum, is in connection with the papacy. On the World Economic Forum official website, it says, what is inclusive capitalism and why does it matter? Well, the question is, what is inclusive capitalism? It is this actual website. This website here tells you what inclusive capitalism is. This is inclusivecapitalism.com. It's called Council for Inclusive Capitalism. Here you have the Pope standing right next to Lynn Forrester de Rothschild. And once again, here's this idea that now the papacy is leaguing up with the merchants of the earth. Now, the Rothschilds, by the way, if you don't know, are one of the richest families in the world. You always hear like Jeff Bezos, or you hear Elon Musk, or these people, and they are very wealthy, but the Rothschilds, at least as a family, it is said that they own somewhere between 500 billion to $1 trillion. I mean, so these people are unbelievably rich. And here you have her standing right next to the Pope himself. So I'm just going to tell you right now, obviously, if you watch my channel, you know that I'm a Christian, and the Bible actually prophesies about the leaguing together of this religious power with the merchants of the earth. And here we see this clearly playing out in these times. And I find the Pope himself wrote a letter to the one he calls Professor Klaus Schwab, executive chairman of the World Economic Forum, and he says, I am grateful for your invitation to participate in the World Economic Forum 2018 and for your desire to include the perspective of the Catholic Church and the Holy See at the meeting in Davos. I thank you also for your efforts to bring this perspective to the attention of those gathered for this annual forum, including the distinguished political and governmental authorities present and all those engaged in the fields of business, the economic, work, and culture as they discuss the challenges, concerns, hopes, and prospects of the world today. Again, I understand many people could look at these things and say, this is wonderful that all the largest corporations in the world, including the largest church in the world with the Pope himself, are leaguing together to bring about a better world. And that sounds wonderful, doesn't it? Except when you realize that the goal of this is that you'll own nothing. And so you realize if you own nothing, that means your life is fully controlled by somebody else. You do what you are told. You want to have a good social credit score. And since every aspect of your life, there's no privacy, if you do anything or say anything or act in any way that is contrary to what is expected by this world organization that knows everything about you, you could see this could get very, very dangerous. Now, I don't say these things simply to scare people, but the point is they already believe that there's going to be people living in the country who will not go along with this system. They evidently tell this in their own documents. And so I don't say this to simply scare people. I say this because, number one, maybe it's a good idea, the closer we get to these crazy times, to move to the country and to raise our own provisions, because in the future, evidently, the problem of buying and selling will be a very serious one if you're not leagued up with the system.
The agents of Messih Ad-Dajjal are operating in plain sight. They are broadcasting their plans in public view and are ready to prepare the world for the arrival of Messih Ad-Dajjal. Time is nearly up. They will begin by triggering a global financial collapse. As a result of this collapse, they will seize all of your assets, a bail-in instead of a bail-out, and a new financial system will be put in place. This new system will be 100% digital and will give complete control to the governing authority. They will take away your ability to earn money by replacing your job with AI and robots. And since you'll own nothing and have no money, you will be given a universal basic income to survive. However, you will only be able to receive universal basic income and survive if you are a part of the system. By accepting the mark of the beast from the earth, the Dabba'tu-min-al-ardh, and serving Messih Ad-Dajjal, the architect of this system. The vast majority will comply. They will own nothing and be enslaved by the system of Messih Ad-Dajjal. A small minority of people will resist. The resistance will live in the countryside in small communities and will refuse the mark. However, these people will be persecuted by the agents of Messih Ad-Dajjal and the beast from the earth, the Dabba'tu-min-al-ardh, to try and force the resistance to become slaves of this system and servants of Messih Ad-Dajjal. The Prophet ﷺ said, "The beast will emerge and place a mark on the faces of the people. There will be so many among you that a man will purchase a camel, and it will be said, 'From whom did you buy it?' He will say, 'I bought it from one of those with the mark.'" I can imagine that this is a lot to take in, but I hope it helps you realize just how close we are to this sign and the importance of being prepared for what is to come. How can we prepare for Dabba'tu-min-al-ardh, the emergence of the beast from the earth, and the mark of the beast system? Because just imagine that one day, soon, the mark of Dabba'tu-min-al-ardh, the beast from the earth, is introduced. And as a Muslim, you refuse the mark to protect your Iman and not become a servant of Messih Ad-Dajjal. But what does that mean for you? What does that mean for your family? It means that suddenly you can't walk into a grocery store and buy food. You can't walk into a pharmacy and get medicines. You can't pay your gas, electricity, and water bills. You can't pay school fees, and in the wake of the global collapse, you won't have any assets or any savings. You will not be able to earn any money either, because robotics and AI will have replaced human labor. And you will be completely disconnected from the financial system, unable to buy, unable to sell, and unable to transact legally. How will you survive at that time? What are you going to do? We have been given this knowledge in the Holy Quran by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and ahadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so that we can recognize the appearance of these signs and prepare for them. You need to start preparing right now. You need to take concrete steps so that you can disconnect your life from society and the financial order and live in a fully self-sustaining manner, because that's the only way that you will be able to live outside of the mark of the beast system. It's only possible if you're self-reliant. That means you need to grow your own food. You need to secure medicines while they're still available. You need to foster a small community of people you trust and establish a homestead in the remote countryside, far away from the city. Because living outside the system will be outlawed. Are you prepared to live the life of an outlaw to preserve your Iman? Believe me when I say that this sign is very close. We're not talking about centuries or decades, but years. It could be here very, very soon. And like the Ashab-e-Kahf, the people of the cave who fled from society with their religion, with their Iman, you too will need to take this bold step to preserve your Iman, just like the Ashab-e-Kahf. And I'd like to end this presentation with some ayat from Surah Al-Kahf, which give us guidance for this difficult time to come. In Surah Al-Kahf, in ayat number 16, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is speaking to us almost as if it is a conversation He is having right now. A conversation for when we have taken this bold decision to flee with our religion and to evade this new world order that is being imposed upon us by Messih Ad-Dajjal. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to us, "And when you have withdrawn from them and that which they worship other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and when you have withdrawn from those people who have taken the mark of the beast and worship Messih Ad-Dajjal, then retreat to the cave, run and hide." And although this is a big step, this is a bold step and a scary step, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us not to be afraid. Your Lord will spread out for you of His mercy and will prepare for you from your affair ease. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make this difficult time easy for us, and He will bestow His mercy upon us, inshallah. And when we are in that situation, once we have taken the step, we have retreated from society, we are hiding and trying to preserve our Iman, and we are faced with hardships, then remember the dua of the Ashab-e-Kahf, and inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bestow His mercy upon us. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم إذ أوى الفتية إلى الكهف فقالوا ربنا آتنا من لدنك رحمة وهيئ لنا من أمرنا رشدا. You should memorize this dua, inshallah. When the youths retreated to the cave and said, Our Lord, Allah, grant us from yourself mercy and prepare for us from our affair right guidance. Let us now finish with a summary. In this presentation, we examined how ahadith of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and the Holy Quran informs us about Dabba'tu-min-al-ardh, the beast from the earth. We learned that Dabba'tu-min-al-ardh is one of the first major signs of the end times, and that it will appear very soon after the sunrise from the west. We then examined key ahadith which informed us about the nature and role of Dabba'tu-min-al-ardh, and through analysis of Christian eschatology, we learned that Dabba'tu-min-al-ardh is an artificial creation of Messih Ad-Dajjal, which he will create in order to force humanity to serve him and be enslaved, and that those who submit to this system will be marked by Dabba'tu-min-al-ardh, and without this mark, you will not be able to buy, sell, or transact financially. We then presented our theory of Dabba'tu-min-al-ardh being humanoid robots, and we showed how our interpretation exactly corroborates key facts about Dabba'tu-min-al-ardh, which we learned from the Holy Quran and ahadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We then explained the mark of the beast system and how this system will be brought about by the agents of Messih Ad-Dajjal through nefarious plans. This will involve a global financial collapse, the introduction of central bank digital currencies, mass labor replacement by AI and robotics, universal basic income, and a cyber-physical mark in the form of a tattoo or chip implant. And we stressed just how close we are to the emergence of Dabba'tu-min-al-ardh and the great financial reset. And lastly, we ended the presentation by speaking about what we as Muslims can do to prepare for the end times and for the emergence of Dabba'tu-min-al-ardh. Most importantly, to cultivate a self-sustaining lifestyle in the countryside, far away from the city. And we stress that now is the time to prepare, because this sign could appear very, very soon. And we concluded by sharing ayat and du'as from Surah Al-Kahf, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us guidance on how we will inshallah face these difficult trials in the end times. I hope and pray that inshallah may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala lighten our burdens in these challenging times to come. And like the Ashab Kahf, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us firm in faith and grant us ease in our affairs through His mercy. Ameen. Thank you for your attention during this presentation. I hope that you found it interesting, informative, and useful. Please like, share, and subscribe to support our efforts, and don't forget to visit our website at www.thelastcrescent.com. That's www.thelastcrescent.com. Thank you for listening. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.